Give me a second. So coming to the agenda for today, so we are going to see introduction on cryptography, what is cryptography, and we're also going to look at core principles of modern day cryptography, and we will also look at how cryptography works, and we will look at the types of cryptography, symmetric, asymmetric, and hashing, and we'll also see why do we need this cryptanalysis. So basically the cryptanalysis is nothing but attacking the cryptography and see whether it works or not, and we will look at one of the cipher, one of the example for cryptography, and see how it works, and we'll also look at those attacks. So this is how this is all the topics I'm going to cover today. Uh, I'm sorry, my screen. Just give me a second. Sorry, I just got you. So introduction, coming to introduction, cryptography has derived its name from a Greek word which is called cryptos, and which is also known as hidden secrets. So basically, the cryptography means converting the information, the converting the plain text into the form so that no one could recognize. So if you have something called how are you, it could be converted to something, some random letters, so that no one could recognize that, so that our information will be secure and third parties or any malicious parties would not be able to access that info. So cryptography is nothing but converting the plain text into the secure message until it reaches the receiver, so that only receiver can decrypt the message and see the information. Okay, so we do have some core principles for cryptography. So first one is confidentiality. So the cryptography makes sure that only the people who are authorized to access the information can only access the info. So some people will be having access to the info, and they can only access it. If any unauthorized persons or people try to access it, they should not be able to do that. And another thing is data integrity. So data integrity makes sure that data is accurate and consistent, and it is not changed in any cycle during from when it is converting from encryption, when the plain text is encrypted. And the third one is authentication. This makes sure that a user is authenticated to the info he wanted, and it's basically like identifying the user. And non-repudiation means so here it makes sure that user will be held accountable for whatever the information they're sharing. It basically like identifying the sender and also the receiver to make sure that they are on the same path. Okay, so on these core principles, the cryptography is going to work to make sure that information is not lost to any third parties or no one could break it. So the next thing is we will look at how cryptography works. So can you see here, Alice is the sender, and you can see that Bob is the receiver. So Alice will be sending the message, and that message will be encrypted into random text, and Bob will be decrypting that message. So in order to encrypt and decrypt, Alice will be having a key to send the message, to encrypt the message before sending it, and Bob to decrypt the same message. Bob will be also having the key to decrypt the message, so that only Alice and Bob will be able to see the plain text using the same key. Okay, so here is the classification of cryptology. So cryptology is classified into cryptography and cryptanalysis. And again, cryptography is divided into symmetric ciphers, asymmetric ciphers, hashing, and we do have block ciphers and stream ciphers and asymmetric ciphers. So I will talk about cryptography and cryptanalysis as well. So first I will tell what is cryptanalysis. Sorry.
Please go ahead, no problem.
Okay. So the cryptanalysis is like attacking the cryptography. So some people will be there to attack the encrypted message and see whether they could be able to decrypt or not. Because once the encrypted message, it should not be decrypted by anyone, and if it's decrypted means it is failed. So encrypting is not only the main process, we should also try attacking the encryption and see whether it breaks or not. So that is why we need cryptanalysis. And this is one of the symmetric cryptography, like I said in the previous part. So symmetric cryptography uses only one key to send the message, which is called private key, or you can also call as single key or secret key. So here what happens is Alice will be sending the message using the key K, and Bob will also be using the same key to decrypt the message. And there will be a third person named Oscar or someone. Just think he's trying to access the information through an unsecured channel, but he should not be able to access that information because you can see right here, Alice is sending the message, and that message is being encrypted using the key K, and that key is being transferred through the secure channel, and that key will be known to Bob, and he can only decrypt that message. While the Oscar, the bad guy, he would not be able to access the message because he's not having access to the secure channel for the key. So this is how the information will be protected, and I would like to show you the how the encryption is done. So this is some equations. So y is the encrypted text and x is the plain text. So encrypting of plain text will give you the encrypted text, and excuse me. So the key must be transmitted via the secure channel, though the information may not be transferred via the secure channel, even though the bad guy, the third parties having access to most of the unsecured channels, they won't be knowing the key. So the key which we transfer, it must be transferred via the secure channel so that only the authorized sender and receiver must be receiving that message. This is another cryptography, which is asymmetric cryptography. So this is not similar, but it will be using two keys, public key. It is known as public key cryptography, but it uses public key and secret key. So when sender is sending the message, he will be using the public key of the receiver, and the receiver will be using his own private key to decrypt the message. So here, both public key and private key are being used for sending the message. So this is called asymmetric key cryptography. So no one could be able to access the information here as well. And whatever the cryptography it is, it must sustain all kind of attacks. And I will talk about attacks in a bit. So this is how the symmetric key works. This is the public key the sender uses, and there is the private key. Plain text converts into the ciphertext, and using the decryption algorithm and the private key, it will be decrypted into the plain text. So this is all the process behind in any social website or something. When you're sending a message, you should know that your message is secured. So this is how the cryptography works. So basically this is securing the data, and this is the third type in cryptography. This is the hashing. So sender and the receiver will be sending a message, and it will be converted into some hash value. So that hash value should be matching before receiver receives the main message. If it is matching the fixed hash value, then the message is authenticated to the receiver, and it would be displayed to the receiver without unaltered or changed. Okay. So why do we need cryptanalysis? Like I said, apart from converting the information from plain text to some raw text or random text, we also need cryptanalysis. We have to attack the encrypted data, and see whether we can break it or not. If anyone can break it, then that cipher cannot be used for an encryption process. Okay. So this is the main principle. There is one principle. So even though the attacker knows all details about the system, with the exception of the secret key, he should not be able to access the data. So all kind of attacks we should not be possible. It should be completely secure before the data gets converted. So here is the cryptanalysis, where we will be attacking the data using this kind of analysis. First one is a classical implementation and social engineering. And the classical is also converted into mathematical and brute force attacks. So here is the classical attacks. The brute force attack, I will be talking about mainly about the brute force attack. So the brute force attack mainly works on the internal structure of the encryption algorithm. So this attack runs the encryption algorithm to see it runs all the encryption algorithms to see whether it could break any key and can find the plain text. So there are several brute force attacks to see whether they can break the text or not. So I'll talk about brute force attack much later in this in coming presentation. So another thing is social engineering attack. So social engineering attack is nothing but you will be receiving some random call saying that uh, we need your bank card details or we need your password. There'll be some people who trick you and to take your password. So this kind of attack is called social engineering attack. And there is another attack called implementation attacks. So implementation attacks is possible when they have physical access to the crypto system and they are able to obtain the secret key using some side channel analysis. So these all attacks will be made and see if they could break the information. If they are not able to break the information, then that's a success. But if they do able to get the plain text, then they cannot use that cipher and they have to develop another one. So here is one of the cipher which I would like to explain. This is a substitution cipher. Here you can see each letter in the alphabet is replaced by another letter. So here A is replaced by K, B is replaced by D, and C is replaced by W. So this is just, each letter will be having the substitute letter, and it will take around 2 power 88 keys for any attacker to find out what is the correct letter that has been substituted in the information. So this is one of the examples. So this is how the ciphertext looks like. This is just the random data who no one can understand. And so here we are using exhaustive key search. The first attack in the brute force attack is exhaustive key search. So there are 26 alphabets and every letter is substituted by another letter. And for 26 alphabet, it will be 26 factorial and it is 2 power 88 keys. So they must try 2 power 88 keys, which is completely infeasible with today's computers. And they cannot do that. But depending upon only this, we cannot say that the substitution cipher is good to encrypt the data. We will see the another one. This is the letter frequency analysis. In English, we have 26 letters and each letter is having its own frequency. So let's say that E is having almost 13% of all letters in typical English contains E. So this is the highest frequency letter in English, and the next most common letter is the T with about 9%. So this is how all the frequencies for the letters. E is at 13, T is at 9, and next comes A. So what the attacker will do is he will substitute the most repeated letter with E. Here Q is the one which has been mostly repeated in this. So he will substitute that with E. This is the first most frequent letter. And by further substituting, he can gain this plain text. You can see here, this is the raw text. I mean, this is the encrypted text. In the down, you can see this plain text where you can see we will meet in the middle of the library. So this kind of plain text will be using this letter frequency attack. So what I am trying to say is no matter what, how many attacks they use, they should not be able to break the text. If they are able to break the text, then that is a failure and we cannot use it. So conclusion, we will be using different cryptographies depending upon the system. If we want to send message quickly, we will use using private key or depending upon the message and how much long it is. We'll be using public key algorithm as well, but it entirely depends upon the uh, system or the company they are willing to access the cryptography. So this is it. Do you have any